Hello everyone, welcome back to the shop. Today we are going to be working on part 2 of forging a skillet. Alright guys and gals, this is part 2, like I said in the opening scene there. Today we are going to be working on just the body itself. If you haven't seen part 1, we forged the handle in part 1, and I gave a bunch of tips and tricks to that. I'll put a link somewhere on the video here for that first video if you're just coming into this whole thing. But we're going to be talking today about one of the, I guess one of the things I see most guys struggle with, or the hardest part, which is actually forging the skillet body itself. I've already cut out this skillet shape. I use a plasma cutter to cut out my skillet bodies. You can use an angle grinder and cut off square corners and then keep removing corners and then sand it round. That's an option. If it's a thin enough material, you may even be able to take and use a Beverly shear and cut out a circular shape. Just do whatever's handiest to you and what you can do in your shop. Another option is it's even possible to chisel out a shape like this, although I wouldn't want to do that. So real quick to note some measurements here. This body here is 10 3/4 inches around in diameter. This will make a 10-inch skillet. I used a pair of what I call dividers, some people call them compasses, to come in about 2 inches from the outside edge, and that is going to be our actual rim of the skillet that keeps the food in. Otherwise, you'd pretty much just have a flat plate. In the other video, I mentioned about doing this offset in here for a transition point. And hopefully you can see that on the video there. That makes a very nice, for a very nice transition into the body itself. Looks like it belongs there. So, anyways, guys, I'm gonna come over here to the camera. Yeah. Okay. So today we're going to start work on this, and I'm going to show you my method of doing this. As mentioned in the previous video, there's a bunch of other different ways of doing this. This just happens to be mine, and I find it to be the most efficient out of anything that I've seen yet. So, not toot my own horn, it's just the way I feel about it. So, anyways, we'll go over to the forge, we'll start getting this heated. I'll point out a few points there, and we'll get to it. Okay, here we are, guys and gals. We're at the forge. I'm going to use a coal forge for this process. My normal production skillets I do in a gas forge. When I have a complicated shape that I have to obtain, I go to the gas forge every time. It just helps get a nice broad heat. But I'm doing this video for guys that don't have a gas forge. This is one of the rare times where I would say a gas forge is better for something like this. Only simply because you can get heat across the whole entire spectrum. So here I've got my coal forge set up to where it's banked up pretty high with some coke here. It's not real bright and hot because I've been talking to the camera and I've been letting it go. But essentially the way that you're going to want to take and heat your plate is you want to focus all your heat on this line here, this second scribed line that we're going to do. And the trick is we only want to bring this up to about a red in temperature, or a dull red in temperature, when we actually go to working this for the first pass in this method I'm about to teach. And the reason why is because you want to still be able to see that scribed line. If you bring it up too hot at first, before you got all of it laid out, what will end up happening is that line will disappear, and then you won't know how far off to stay off the edge to create your shoulder here. So that'll all become apparent when we start working on it. But I like to just set this plate right on top like so, and start heating it. Now, I'll preheat it like this a little bit and let it start heating up. And then I will actually stick that down in there like so, and then throw a little bit of Coke on top of it to start getting that to heat up and to balance out right. So I just keep doing that, and then we just bring it up to temp and start working on it. It's going to smoke a lot. It's going to throw flames in different weird directions like you didn't think that it would. But if you pull over a blanket on top of it like so, it will eventually start heating up nice and evenly. And then all it is it's just a matter of rotating it like so to get it all at one nice even heat. So that's a little trick if you're using it in the coal forge here. You know, a lot of coal forging, when you do stuff, you're trying to create a small cave or something like that to shove, you know, the rod into to be able to heat it up efficiently. When you're working big flat plates of material, you have to take and create a flat top with your coke, a nice flat top, and then set your material on and then cover the plate. So hopefully that'll help guys out. So in the next shot, we will be over at the wedge block that I'm going to use, and I'll start showing you this method that I've developed. We are going to need a hammer, a saw face hammer. This can be a flat, nice flat faced hammer. This is like an East Wing, I believe it is. You can pick these up at Home Depot. And then we are going to need a set hammer. Now, let me try to refocus this camera here. Okay, as you can see on this set hammer, it's got a radius to the top here and a square shoulder. This radius on the top of this set hammer, by the way, this just happened to be a ball peen that I repurposed. Anyways, this radius on this shoulder, we are going to follow that line all the way around the pan or the skillet. And what we're going to do is we are going to sink the bottom. When we do that, it's going to act a lot like a bowl. It's going to want to take and lift the outside edge up, at the same time gather the material and compress. When it gathers the material and compresses the material, you will eventually develop some small little wrinkles in it, but nowhere near as close as what happens in some of the other videos that I have watched. Those can be ironed out at the anvil. So it's just a method of pressing the bottom, setting that bottom lip down to get the bottom of the skillet defined all the way around, and then you can really go to town. And as the bottom sinks down, it will lift those sides higher and higher. And if you want higher sides, there's always a way of hammering those sides to get them to come up taller and whatnot for your intended purpose. But I'm going to show this. This is the simplest method to take and do this. So I'll bring out the piece, and then I'm going to be using a set hammer and a regular hammer striking on top to take and chase around this line. Hopefully I can get a good shot of this so you guys can see what's going on. Okay, ladies and gents, here we go. So I'm going to bring this piece out here, and the important thing is not necessarily that you can see the line, but that I can see the line. So I'm going to match this up right with the line that I see, and I'm going to go right on around. So this is a little difficult to see even at this. I probably let it go a little too long, got it a little too hot. You can't really see past the scale too much here. So I'm just going to kind of wing it on what looks about right. purpose that I was trying to take and showcase is if you go right around the rim, just like I was saying, that, hopefully you saw how it kind of puckered that edge up. And that's what we're really wanting. So I'm going to take like another couple passes. I won't be talking in the clips, but I'll let you watch the clip of me working on around. I guess just for kicks and giggles to show you that the method does work. And then I will be back after that and we will talk some more. Alright guys, stage one's over. Hopefully you guys were able to see pretty good in that clip of me working that little time lapse. Hopefully that all worked out okay and was still informative. As you can see, I worked and I chased that line all the way around using that set hammer to push it down. You can also see that it gave it quite a bit of lift already. And then that's just the first pass. So I won't make you guys watch every single pass consecutively. It usually takes about 2 to 3 passes, depending on how hot you had the plate and how even you had it, to take and work that out. But that's essentially forging the skillet body. That's my method. Real quick, guys, on the cold forge itself here, as you can see, it's heating up. I got a nice hot bed of coke underneath it here that I keep readjusting to get a really nice broad heat on this pan. All I'm doing is setting that on and then taking a little bit of coke from the sides of the fire and covering it up. Just like I'm trying to put a, I don't know, a pig in a blanket, you know, one of those sort of things. All we're trying to do is take and give it a little bit of insulation on top. And if you put a layer of coke on top of the pan, it really does insulate it, and it makes a huge difference as far as the heating time. So if you just leave the top of the pan open to the air, it's going to do 2 things. One, as it heats up, it's going to oxidize a lot quicker, and 2, it will take about 3 times as long for that pan to heat up. So as you could all see, it was pretty cold to begin with here. I'm going to try to take and crank a little faster. I'm using a hand crank blower, and we're starting to put some heat into it. But just trying to take and insulate this as the best I can to take and put the heat where I want it. So I will come back to you all after I've got the pan finished raised the rest of the way. It's essentially just taking and doing this same process over and over again until you get the sides as high as you would like. If your sides get any wrinkles in them, just go to the anvil, lay it flush on the anvil, and then just try to tap those out with a leather mallet. It's a really easy way of making a frying skillet. So I'll be back after I have all that done. And thanks for watching, guys. Okie doke, everyone. Here's the finished skillet. Finished forged anyhow as it is. You know, essentially you just do like I did in the time lapse. Over and over again, you just keep going right around the rim. Some of you say, but Roy, wait a minute. I don't have a swedge block to make a skillet in. Well, I got a solution for you. Just hold on one moment. You can go to any scrapyard and find yourself a large section of pipe. It just has to be larger than the anticipated bottom of your skillet. So like this one here, you could get away with making an 8-inch outside diameter skillet with a 6-inch bottom. Say you want a 12-inch skillet, get a 10-inch pipe section. The only suggestion I would have on here is take an angle grinder and radius the inside edge so this way you don't mar up the back of the skillet. That'll be important, and I'll go over that in the next video in the series of part 3 where we actually finish the skillet and we do the final fitting and seasoning of the skillet itself. But any depression that will allow the bottom of that skillet to sink into is adequate. So if you don't have a swedge block, I always recommend getting one. They're awesome, and especially if you want to do some work like this, they're just one of those tools. Depending on how elaborate you want to get with it, for demonstration purposes, I didn't try to take and get this completely round, squared up. It adds to the hand-forged aesthetic. For my production skillets that I make sure every last one of them are nice and flat and have no wonkiness in them, because there again, I'm trying to sell them and I want the customer to have a good quality experience. But you can see how that's already coming together to make a really pretty skillet. So anyways, that's the end of part 2 of this video series. I will, at the end of this video, I'll put the links to part 1. And if you're watching in the future, there's a link to part 3 in this video series, all in the end credit reel here. Thank you all for watching. Put any questions you may have in the comment section down below. I do read all the comments and I try my best to get back to each and every one of you personally. Just let me know what you guys think and what you thought of the video. And thanks for stopping by and checking out the channel. God bless you all, and we will talk to you later.